Now, just so we're all aware, I'm not watching these back to back and just cutting them up. I am doing them in different sittings. I just always wear a black hoodie because it's the middle of January and that is what I live in right now. Maybe it's mild depression. Maybe he's a former goth. Maybe it's both. Hello wonderful humans of the internet, how are we? My name is Sam Scott-Thorne and I'm a vocal coach based in Glasgow. Now if you'd like to meet and explore your voice a little more, you can find me on sstVocals.com. You can also find me on... and where can you find me? I nearly said Pinterest. You can find me on Patreon and various other social media platforms, and I'll put the handles down below and over there. So stupid. Now if you'd like to consider becoming a patron, you have access to things like early release of reactions, you can fast track reactions, become a reaction, there's special roles on my Discord server, and you have access to all sorts of bonus content like my Vocal Anatomy 101 series, so consider following me there. What did I say? Oh, my brain is cooked. So consider becoming a patron and help shape my channel. That was it. I got it eventually. Okay, we're going straight into part 2 of Erame's new vocal BTS Acapella extravaganza. So let's not waste any more time because I clearly do not have the mental bandwidth to even form sentences. So let's just go and see what we think. Jin.
There is no
Oh, there's Chris Martin's face just popping up. I have heard this song before. I think I heard them doing it in live somewhere. So this really goes to show the dynamic quality of Jin's voice. At the very beginning, you hear a soft aspirate tone. There's lots of air flowing through the tone. It just makes it really soft, really lovely and kind of wispy. But then he tilts onto actually quite a forward placed, almost belty sound. You would think it would have transitioned into like a falsetto. No, would be the natural kind of step for me. But instead he kind of goes, no. He pushes into this much heavier place. There's a bit of twang going on. There's a lot more anchoring. I didn't anchor properly, so that might have sounded absolutely guff. But I love what he did. Really nice.
There is no one else.
He's got this little kind of jump from that platform. A slightly lower note into a higher note. It just gives the voice a little bit of prep time to stretch up into those places. There's also a little bit of cry at the end of that phrase. I really, really like the way that he placed this.
And I love you. And I love you.
There's also a little bit of vibrato in there. So he's tilting his thyroid cartilage in the middle of this like long sustained note. Not the easiest thing to pull off. I really, really think this is a great vocal from him.
And I love you.
Did you see that little push there? That was him anchoring. When he hit that, da, he pushed onto his anchors just to add a little bit more support. It just makes the actual effort that you extend a little less through here and more through the body. Very, very clever. There's a wee bit of fry coming in through his onsets as well. This is a really quite complicated vocal if you break it down into tiny little parts. And he's going over and over and over again. So I'm very impressed. As is Chris.
That sounds really great.
Cheek to cheek, I feel your heartbeat on my 따스한 melody. 나도 모르는 그 사이에 어느새 너의 미소만.
This is almost like a kind of a South Korean male Britney Spears. There's a sentence I didn't think I'd be saying. But there's that little creak of fry at the beginnings of his phrases. So, that kind of sound is very reminiscent of, oh, baby, baby, how was I? It just gives a little bit of texture, a little bit of playfulness. It's quite sultry sounding as well. And he's definitely folding that into his vocal kind of fingerprint, if you like. It moves on to that lovely clean, pure, high place sound. The larynx is lovely and high, so it sounds youthful and sounds quite innocent. It's very, very good.
가득 찬 내 맘 숨길 수 없잖아.
And because he's sitting in more of his higher register, you can actually see his neck anchors working in place of his torso anchors. So where Jin was kind of bearing down with his body and with his torso, Jimin is far more into his neck anchors, which is where you tend to go when you're dealing with higher notes and higher place sounds. It's very interesting watching them working in a recording studio. And it's JK now.
Oh, it's time to let go.
Oh.
When you go out in the night, you're under the lights.
You can actually see the space getting smaller. I mean, you can't see it, but I can't see inside of his throat. But what's happening there is he's kind of making the space of his pharynx a little bit smaller, just creating a smaller little chamber, if you like. It makes these higher notes feel loud, but they're actually getting like smaller in real terms, if you like. There's a little bit of oral twang here, so that's when the epiglottis kind of comes over the vocal folds but doesn't completely shut over, i.e. when you swallow, and it creates this little kind of chamber where the airflow will bounce back onto the vocal folds and thicken them up, creating a much more pointed sound. He's got all of this in play, as well as all this vocal agility. His riffs and runs are so clean. Very, very good.
Oh, I hope you find somebody. Hope you find somebody to ride, somebody to die. Oh,
Love it.
I hope you know that somebody ain't me.
He's just got a very clean sound. JK has what you would consider like earlier, like 2000s pop star kind of sound. He's very marketable. He feels like the one, if they were to break up, that you would push him into the kind of leading man pop star kind of route. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think he's got like the most unique tone, but he's just got the kind of most polished package of the lot. That sounds wrong. Let's keep going.
Hope you know that somebody ain't me. Hope you know that somebody ain't me. Hope you know that somebody ain't me. Hope you know that somebody ain't me.
I really shouldn't try and do these like just copying the first hearing, because I'm probably making them sound terrible. But I really do enjoy the fact that he's getting quite a pressed sound, and he's getting in this like agility too, because it feels like quite a solid, almost stiff kind of place that he's pushing this tone through. So to have the malleability to change notes that quickly and create these melismas is very, very good.
Came to terms.
꽃들이 가득한 거리에 오늘 또 그대를 보내요 내 안에.
This is classic V. This voice, it's just like a cloud, but inside somebody's lungs. No, again, that sounds awful. He really does pull his larynx down into almost quite a mopey sound if you were to speak on it. But when you add in a little bit of tone and air and all this stuff, when you add all of that in, it creates this gorgeous sound. He would be like if Eeyore was a pop star. By the way, I mean all of this like super complimentary. I know that some people get quite wound up when people say anything even left of a certain way about pop stars, but they're people, we're people. I'm pretty sure we can all enjoy each other's humour. Yeah, it'll be okay. But yeah, of everyone's tone, I would say that V's is the one that really does grip me. I think it's so unusual. It's very, very calm and calming, and it just gets me like in a place. His music's also like top notch.
잠겨질까요? 새벽달이
Okay, I can't confirm this. That look to me looked like a. Oh, okay. I don't know if that was a welcomed harmony. I could be wrong, but it looked a little bit like a please stop. Again, I know that they all love one another, so family and brothers and colleagues that are like those things combined can still step on each other's toes sometimes, and maybe that was one of those moments, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know them that well.
지난 공원에 지금 내 감정을 담아요 이 노래 그댈 향해요 부리마스.
Oh, see that little just a tiny little closed off between an M and an N almost was really, really nice. It just felt like almost like a comma instead of a full stop. I love V's voice.
밤하늘 다르게 비춰진 필름의 소리를 들어요.
So this is where I feel has his most challenging vocal moments, and it's between these really soft places and then it lightening up into a more kind of press closed kind of full vibratory pattern sound. You get a little bit of this insecurity between the two, that da, 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 da. Instead of pushing forward, maybe adding a little bit of thyroid tilt, it can feel a little bit like, oh, we always get there and it always sounds nice, but as a vocal teacher you can kind of hear when you think, oh, we are dancing on the edge. And I feel like he flirts with that area sometimes, but still gorgeous.
I still wonder, beautiful story. Still wonder, whisper.
That was beautiful. Very much in the frame of falsetto rather than head voice. 'Cause it's so airy. And sounds like I'm saying hairy. Airy. And with falsetto, you can't get louder on it. And I feel like that is probably the max volume that wonder. I can't get louder on it. Wonder. I feel like that is falsetto. That's where your vocal folds kind of like go stiff and the air just pushes through it, rather than when you have like a head voice sound, which is where they are still vibrating but just at the top edge. They've got an undulating kind of movement. I adore it. Very good.
I still wonder, next away. I want to make you mine.
잠기고 싶어 가보고 싶어 너무 좋은데? 이렇게
Just changing from that really, really high falsetto sound that he was doing there into na 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 na, into that softer, very, very back placed, unassuming sound. I love them. They are not afraid to play with their voices, to take risks, to move into places where maybe they're not at their most comfortable, but they get comfortable. You get comfortable by doing that. So the amount of stones that they have to just go for it, I think, is so commendable, and they sound so good. I mean, I've thought that V was hitting high notes and then Jin comes in just a little bit higher. Jin's just got a powerful voice. I would be interested to see like how much malleability he has in terms of like tonal quality, like what kind of like growls, for instance, he could do, because he seems to be able to put his voice into different places, especially when it pertains to matching those around him. Very impressive.
공을 떠다는 자 그 먼지처럼 작은 먼지처럼.
I've heard this song before. Was it from one of the other a cappella things? I don't know. Have I done a reaction to this full song? I don't know. But I really, really like the melody to this. Again, we're getting V's classic sound. It's a low larynx sound on a higher note. It gives you that pulling kind of sensation. Very, very, very good.
And every day I try to make it stay.
So here we go with this lovely oral twang sound. Ah! That's the sound that he is kind of producing at its purest form, and then he mixes it through his vocal. It's very powerful. You don't have to expend a huge amount of effort to get there. It's very much the anatomy that is creating really good conditions for something that sounds louder than it necessarily is. It creates a really intense frequency, basically. And I love the fact that he will mix that through such a delicate vocal. Very, very good.
But you're a savage love. Did somebody break your heart?
That's Jason
Looking
Derulo.
like an angel, but you're savage love. When you kiss me, I know you don't give two. But I still want the savage love.
I like how he changes his offsets, which is the way you finish a phrase, between every line. Sometimes it has an aspirate tail off. Sometimes it has a little bit more of a pressed kind of twangy sound. He's giving variance in his vocal. I didn't know that that was Savage Love because I've only ever heard that little snippet of chorus in like TikTok videos. Interesting.
You savage love. You savage love. You can use me.
Very good.
Every day I think about it. Yeah, every day of my life.
Is that Jimin? Live. Gorgeous little riff there. Really well placed. It sounds super duper clear, but then there's clicking and stuff in the background. It might just be that his tone is so laser focused and like concise with its frequency bandwidth that it's popping straight out to me. Very nice.
So tell me why I haven't found her. So many people to see.
Ooh.
She's a girl. We still haven't found her.
This differentiation of the vowels, but still on that really high plane with that purity. That you hear the difference in like the resonant pull of it. The obviously is like a more open sound because you're literally swinging your jaw open to make that sound. It creates more resonance. The E is so like bright and clean and sharp. Very, very good.
She's all I see tonight. She's always in my mind. Wanna give her the world that's so much more. Oh, it's my whole anymore.
Again, I think I've heard this song too. I think I've heard more than I maybe give myself credit for. But anyway, I digress. In the chorus here, when we've got that little kind of push, he goes on to this other thing that Jimin likes to do a lot, which is that vocal cry on the ends of some of his phrases. That that sounded terrible again. But it's like a little turn of emotional intensity and emotional intent. It just creates a little bit of kind of like sobby sadness. It gets the emotional heartstrings. It's just a very subtle emotional manipulation, if you like. Like when you see people crying, you start crying if you're, you know, an empathetic individual. It's the same thing when you hear a slight cry through song. It reminds you of that emotion and it tugs at the heartstrings. Very good.
Someone that I see every day. She's somewhere 1,000 miles away. Wanna give her the world that's so much more. Who is my hope anymore?
Run! I would love more concerts to end like that. Just a quick bout and then bolt as fast as you can. Loved it. Okay, that was part 2. I hope you enjoyed that. Clearly I've been having like a funny 5 minutes watching this video. So the next one's gonna be super serious. I can feel it. You're gonna be super shocked at how serious I am. Or it's probably just gonna be more of the same. Let's be honest. So if you liked that video, please give it a like and a thumbs up down below. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and anytime I have new content, you will be the first to know. Ah, see, I had no clue what the start of the video was like, but I remember all the stuff at the end of it. Ding, 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 10 points to me. So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me. And how are we going to buy this one? I don't know. So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me. And if you like seeing Scottish people react to music from here and all over the world, then do all the normal things you do. Like, subscribe, and follow for more. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, I love you. Bye, bye, bye. Drink water and be good to each other. Bye. Love you.